we were thrilled when this building finally hit the market. I think this building was one of the buildings that was originally controlled as part of the greater retail land assemblage with the hope of doing something just to the north of this property. I think you guys probably know better than I, but I think this property's been vacant well over 4 years. I think now it's approaching 6 or 7 years. We're going to, as I stated in the petition, renovate the existing roughly 32,000 square foot building and then add a 12,000 square foot appendage to the rear. Really, the only variances that we're asking for of this committee today are a result of the existing site conditions. The existing parking lot that's here right now is extremely narrow by most standards, and really, when I say most standards, I mean your code calls for an 8-foot landscape buffer along the street frontage in addition to curbing, as well as a landscape buffer along the building. If we were to do both of the buffers as they're called for in the existing PUD, essentially you couldn't have any parking in front of the building. So normally, when we go for variances and we really try to avoid them, it's only as a result of the existing hardships on the site. So we're doing the best we can with the existing site conditions, but given that our hope is to renovate the existing building and to leave everything in place, our hands are a bit tied when it comes to the landscaping in relation to the existing parking field. As we stated in our application, we're going to completely renovate the front facade. Right now, it's brick with a number of imperfections, cracks in the brick or areas where the facade has begun to crumble. We have a cement fiberboard material that got approved by the Architectural Review Committee that will be done in combination with all new glazing along the windows. And we're going to build up, right now the facade is roughly 12 feet above ground. We're going to build that up about another 4 feet, which will essentially give the facade kind of a new look. The side of the building essentially will remain unchanged. It's Chicago common brick. We'll clean it up and paint it, but it will remain brick. And then the new building in the rear will meet your new code, which calls for either precast concrete, masonry, or brick. We're not quite sure. It'll depend a little bit on market conditions, which one of those 3 materials we use, but it will be one of those 3 materials. So again, this is a project we're really excited about. Some of the things about self-storage that are a little unique is we generate almost no traffic. We're one of the lowest traffic generating uses in the United States, which is one of the reasons that we also need very little parking. We really won't draw upon community resources. We'll have 1 or at the most 2 bathrooms. Really no need for water, minimal draw on electricity and natural gas. Again, the building will be heated and cooled, but not heated and cooled to an office level. In the wintertime, we'll keep the thermostat at 58 or 60 degrees. In the summertime, we'll keep it in the high 70s. And we're a very, very quiet use. Our office hours are going to be from about 8 till 6, and then customers will be able to access the facility with a security code for about an hour and a half before we open and about an hour and a half after we open. And again, as it's stated in the petition, we'll have security cameras at all the entrance and exit points and all the commonly traversed aisleways, as well as around the exterior of the building. So a combination of CCTV, which will be monitored by an outside firm, and exterior security lighting. In addition, and Jeremy, I don't know if you have it on another slide, we're proposing to fence the site. This is a little hard to see right here. A little better. We will have a fence on the side that'll run all the way down the west property line and will encompass the entire north property line. So this property will be very secure. I think that's a benefit both to the neighborhood as well as to our customers. Their primary concern when they store with us is their safety, the safety and security of their goods. So that, in addition to the petition that was read, I think pretty well encompasses what we're asking for. My understanding is we are an allowed use. Again, as I stated in the petition, we do have the ability to do this without variances, but I think from a common sense perspective, the people of this community and the neighboring communities will be our customers. 95% of our customers will come from within 3 miles of this site. As an operator, we want the site to best serve their needs, and we think these couple small variances that we're asking for will help to do that. But without further ado, I'd be happy to walk you guys through any elements of our application or answer any questions related to the project or to the variances that we're requesting.
Do you have any questions in general?
I have a couple of questions in general.
Sure.
Might we call you Rick?
Please.
Okay. Low traffic So you're not anticipating any like semis, or you might have one unloading once in a
Yeah,
while
I
or
mean,
something, or?
on average, we're gonna get one vehicle an hour.
Okay.
95% of the traffic to the building will take place within this loading bay. This is a fairly generously sized loading bay, so anything other than an 18-wheel semi will pull entirely into the building and the door will close behind it, so everything will take place inside the building. We do occasionally get a large 18-wheel semi. You know, if you're doing a cross-the-country route and you hire somebody in Florida, they will occasionally use a large truck. The way we would accommodate that customer is they would pull along the side of the building to the rear, well, there will be a secondary entrance point, but if we get 2 of those a year, that would be a lot.
So the majority of people can pull right inside the front
Absolutely.
door,
And it'll be heated and cooled inside the loading bay.
and that's it?
That's it. You won't see it from the street.
Okay. I didn't notice a drainage plan in the set that we have. Has there been any consideration as far as, I know it goes into the permit with the MWRD. Has that been addressed at all?
We're not adding any impervious area, but to the extent that the MWRD calls for on-site retention or detention that's not there, we'll probably put it in reinforced concrete pipe underneath the drives.
So there will be a drainage plan?
Absolutely.
At some point?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
As a point of clarification on the design, judging from your elevations, it looks like some of the units are accessible from the outside.
That's correct. So this facility is proposed to have just over 400 units, and Jeremy, I'm going to guess on this count, so I might be wrong, but I think around 25 of them are accessed from the outside, so what does that work out to, like 8%? Generally, the customers that use these access units are contractors, people who may want to access the stuff directly out of the back of a pickup truck or something like that. Those tend to be our largest units. So instead of people having to pull into the loading bay and unload onto carts multiple times and go down the aisle, this allows them to literally take things out of their vehicle and put them right over the unit.
Are they
Those-
allowed, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Finish up. No. I wanted to ask you, these outside garages, are they accessible 24 hours?
No, they won't be. They'll only be accessible when, they'll all be behind the gate. And we think our access hours are going to be about 7 in the morning until 9 at night.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry.
Well, 2 things. One, we'd like to swear you in to
Oh.
ask questions, and the other is that anytime anyone speaks, we ask them to give their name and address.
I'm sorry, I apologize. My name is Vittorio Barrecchia. I'm a resident of the
You're
Symbol
gonna need
300 Flat
to-
Montrose.
You're going to need to spell it for me and
Sure.
say it slower.
Vittorio, Vittorio. Last name is Verrercccia. My address is 7309 West Montrose. Been a long-time resident here, born and raised here.
And we're going to take just a moment and, once again, swear you in, if you would. Stand right here. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you very much.
I apologize for my tardiness.
Until 6 at night. And usually for the select customers, if you have those units, we'll give you a security code. So if you were to drive up, and again, maybe you can go back to one where you can see it, there will be a gate set back about 40 yards into the property, and there will be a little touchpad there. So if you enter in a code, the gate will open, and you'll be able to drive into the property, and generally that'll be.
I'm not concerned for myself. I live across the street. I don't really appreciate contractors coming in late hours, loading and unloading the materials for the next day for work. That's why I'm asking about access. Are these customers going to be allowed 24-hour access, or what, you know?
And the answer is no, they won't.
They won't.
They'll be allowed anytime after 7 a.m. and anytime before 9 p.m. And that's not one of the variances we're requesting. That's currently allowed.
You had mentioned something about the parking in the front. Did I misunderstand, or maybe I walked in late, but the variance you're looking for is the parking on the parkway there? Where the existing is?
No. Can you maybe do a better picture than this? All the parking will take place within the existing parking lot.
Okay.
The way that the PUD ordinance reads is there's supposed to be an 8-foot landscape buffer here.
Okay.
And because of the amount of distance right now that there is between the sidewalk and the building, if we were to do that, you would not be allowed, you would not be able to have parking
I
on both
understand.
sides. But none of the parking will take
Just
place in the street.
As a suggestion also, if you look to the east of that building, on the east part of the building next to the fence that is alongside of Iggy's there, that's landscaped. They have some bushes and some, that was originally never there. The prior owners that owned that building put that there, that was originally parking also, so you could maybe give yourself some more parking there if you needed to. That was all along that east side of the parking lot, along the white fence that's, and in front of the
Right
building.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right there.
So we've got 3 spots planned for there.
There
It'll
was
be,
three, and even more right in front of the building also, going,
yeah, so
going this
over,
way.
it's a little hard to see here. We've got 3 spaces here.
Right,
We've got
that's what
space
originally
here
was
as
there.
handicap, and then we've got 4 spaces along here. There will never be a time when all those parking spaces are full.
Just
Because
to let you
remember,
know, I
most
don't know.
people who pull up will pull directly inside the building. But if you're showing up to rent a space and you're not unloading anything, that would be an instance where you park in one of these parking spaces.
Mhm,
But it'll be very rare when there's more than 2 vehicles here at once.
mhm.
And I would imagine that on the question of contractors, even if they're there at 7 a.m., most of those spaces are further back, so it's going to be around the backside.
That's
or
exactly right.
further away from the residential areas.
You said something about a fence along the west property line and in the front also?
Along the, yes,
Where in the front?
right here. I don't know if you can see this, but between the 2 curb fence, and it would be a wrought iron fence, not like a wood fence, it would be I don't know how to describe it, a picture of it.
I
Sharon?
understand, Ron,
Shows up a little
Yeah.
bit right in here.
Yeah.
Kind of see
So along the sidewalk?
Yeah,
Along the sidewalk,
and that's required
all,
by the city,
all by the village?
yeah.
And the property line, I'm not sure where, on the west end, where does it end exactly? There's like an adjoining alley next to the other property, or is it right there? Maybe
Right,
it's right,
it's where this dotted line is.
the dotted line, but,
Yeah.
enough where, that gives access to the back there?
For this property?
No, what
In there?
Through here?
there's currently towards the back, there's a gate. I'm wondering if that's still part of the property. All that empty driveway there, or alley, whatever you wanna call it, that's still part of the property. So, in other words, there'd be a fence put more west.
Yeah, the fence is gonna go right here,
Right
which is
there.
right along the
Okay.
property line.
I understand.
And then so you'll enter here.
Right.
And again, this is just for the people who are using these units, and then you'll exit right up here. And there will also be a gate here.
Okay. I don't know what this panel, this board, what is, I'd like to ask them, seeing something like this come in, you know, and thinking future-wise with all those empty factories that are there now, I mean, is it something that's really, something that we could use if you wanna turn that area into like more commercial later on? I mean, this is more like a warehouse, I'd say, right?
The hope for that entire area is to turn it into more commercial, possibly retail, even mixed-use properties in the long-term plan of the village. There's not a whole lot of call for light manufacturing anymore, so we
Right.
would like to move away from that and bring in things that,
But this kind of business, would it, I don't know, in other areas, have you seen it, does a storage place kind of fit? Can you give me an example, maybe of a storage place currently in existence in the middle of, say, retail, like where you have shops and stores and eating
That's
establishments?
actually almost exclusively where we locate.
Where, like?
We've
where
got one in
else?
Lake Forest, we've got one right next to the old Orchard Mall on Gulf Road. We've got one on Willow Road in Northbrook, right next to the Target. That's what we look for.
Mhm.
Our business doesn't have the money to advertise, so our building sort of needs to be our advertisement to the local community. We need to be on a road that's highly trafficked, so people who live in the area know that we're there. One of the things that makes us attractive is we don't generate a lot of traffic, so oftentimes retailers are on roads that are very busy, almost cumbersome in their busyness, and we can alleviate some of that. And I think the other thing that I'd mention, that was mentioned before you walked in, is we are allowed here. So we're not asking for something that's not permitted. This isn't allowed use within the zone.
Rick, another one I have, I won't ask any more specific on each variance that we're gonna talk about eventually.
Sure.
But the one, number 3, which is the 6-inch concrete curb, you said that was omitted. You didn't really mean omitted, it's been addressed?
It's been addressed.
Okay.
We redacted our request for it.
Okay,
So we're gonna put in the curb.